In this video, I'll be talking about Gomory's cut method for integer programming problem. We may also call this as LIP, that is linear integer programming problem, or we may simply call this as IPP, integer programming problem. Now in linear programming problem, we have objective function which may be either a maximization or minimization C transpose X subject to the constraint Ax equal to B and X greater than or equal to 0. Here I've already converted the constraint into equality, which means I'm just considering that the slack and surplus variable are already involved. For IPP or linear integer programming problem, in addition to the constraint or in addition to the problems given in the above format, that is linear programming problem, we also have one more restriction, that the decision variable has to be integers. So to understand IPP, let us consider this example. Here I have a maximization 5 times x1 plus 8 times x2 subject to the constraint x1 plus x2 less than or equal to 6. And this is the first constraint. I can just simply write first constraint. Then we got another one more constraint, 5 times x1 plus 9 times x2. This is another constraint. Please read these x1, x2 as a subscript, and x1, x2 greater than equal to 0 and integer. So the moment we have this integer condition, this means it is an integer programming problem. So if we simply drop this condition, if I don't consider this condition which is integer, that means the remaining problem is our linear programming problem only. So we have already learned methods to solve the linear programming problem. Either I can solve this graphically. So if I solve this graphically, we can notice that this is the first constraint which is cutted on the axis at 0.60 and it comes at 0, 6, and this is the second constraint which cut at 9, 0, and then here it cut at 0, 5, and the optimal point is shown here by the red dot, and this optimal solution we can simply find by the intersection of these two lines, because we can solve this by the graphical method. There are only two variables, so we solve this by graphically, and the optimal solution that we get is 2.25, 3.75. Now suppose that I don't want to solve this problem graphically, and if I want to use the simplex method simply by relaxing these integer condition. So we also know that adding slack surplus variable by entering a decision variable and leaving. So you can see that simplex method done in my previous video. I find that this is the value for x1 and this is the value for x2. Now notice that here the value for x1, this is 2.25, and the value for x2 which is 3.75. Now these are not integers, but in my original problem, if I reconsider this problem and I don't drop this condition, so they cannot be considered as optimal. So that is the question, how to incorporate this condition which is integer condition. So how to ensure that the solution that you get, this is integer point. So for this, we'll look at the procedure of solving IPP using Gomory's cut or Gomory's constraint method. In my last video, I have already discussed about what is branch and bound method for solving IPP. So for this, I have added the link in the description, and you can see that this is also another method, but here the restriction is that we can solve the IPP when only two variables are there. In case there are more than two variables, then we have to look for the Gomory's cut or Gomory's constraint method. So this is primarily based on the simplex method. So the first thing is that we solve our problem, solve IPP, relaxing the condition that xi's are integers, solve IPP first by simplex method, obtain the optimal solution. So we'll just simply say find optimal solution and look whether this optimal solution is integer or not. So we will check optimal solution belongs to integers or not completely. If not, then we will add a constraint. If not, so we will now add a constraint. And that constraint which I am going to add to ensure that we find the integral solution, this addition of this constraint is what we call Gomory's constraint. Now how to add these constraints and what is this constraint, I'll explain in a minute. But first let's understand the procedure. Now because I'm adding a constraint in already obtained optimal solution, which means here I'm using the concept of post-optimality. So use post-optimality concept, or maybe I can simply say use the sensitivity analysis concept. So whenever we add a constraint in the already obtained optimal solution, there is a possibility that if we are constructing a simplex table, something like that, we have a basic variables here and then we have the solution Now, assuming that let's say this is a maximization problem. So I'm just assuming. So this means the Zj minus Cj, this is all greater than or equal to 0. And the XB solution that you will find here, they are also greater than or equal to 0. This speaks about feasibility condition. And the upper row, this talks about the optimal solution. Now, since this is already an optimal solution we have obtained by relaxing the condition that the decision variable has to integer, and now I want to add this constraint. So adding a constraint means that one more decision variable will increase here. So suppose initially I have here 2 decision variable, and now I am adding one more constraint. So the constraint will bring one more row here. So suppose that row is, I'm just saying that adding a constraint due to Gomory. So I'm just using the notation xg1 due to Gomory. Now this addition of constraint, either this solution here is greater than or equal to 0. In that case, this is feasible. I'm already in an optimal solution. So this will give me the current solution as an optimal, but that's not the case always. Generally, here this condition is disturbed for the feasibility. So now solution is optimal, but the feasibility condition may be disturbed. This may be disturbed. And if the condition of the feasibility is disturbed, we are going to use dual simplex method. So this is apply dual simplex method. So now from the procedure you can see that this is not something new. We have already done this in the post optimality problems. This is exactly same. Solve the given problem using simplex method, find the optimal solution, and then we check whether they are integer or not. So if they are not integer, I'm going to add a constraint. So the question is which constraint I'm going to add. That's what I'll explain in an example. But assuming that we add a constraint in this case, then I'm using the post optimality concept to embed this addition of a constraint into the same problem, and then I'm going to use dual simplex method to find the final optimal solution of the integer programming problem. Now let's find first the Gomory constraint, and for this I'm just considering an simplex table. So we consider the optimal simplex table in this way. These are the basic variable. I'm just assuming that x1, x3 are the basic variable, and these are the solution xb1 and xb2, and these are the scalars that we have here. Now suppose that xb1 and xb2, these are not integer. These does not belong to integer. So this means this is optimal, but these are not the integer optimal solution. So for this we can select any one of them. Let's say we write xb1 in the integral part plus the fractional part plus fractional part. So we must write this non-integral as, so for example, the value for xb1 is, let's say this is 11 by 2. If this is 11 by 2, I can write this as 5 plus 1 by 2, which means 5 is the integral part and 1 by 2 is the fractional part. And say for example, you have y24. This is also some fractional part. Let's say this is minus 5 by 8. So I am just assuming how to convert this into integral plus fractional part. So integral part would be minus 1 and the fractional part is 3 by 8. We must note that the fractional part must be greater than or equal to 0. So fractional part must always be greater than or equal to 0. So this thing you have to always keep in mind. So because we do require for the scalars also to convert them into integral and fractional part. And then choose the largest fractional value of the basic variable, let it be fk0. So corresponding to this, as I've explained, there will be an integral value plus the fractional value. So suppose I'm just denoting it by 1 0, and this one I'm just denoting it by integral part plus the fractional part. Out of these two, we must see f10 and f20, which is having the largest fractional part. In case there is a tie, you can choose any one of them. And suppose we write now corresponding the constraint, which is corresponding to the first constraint. So we will write y11 into x1 plus, so we will multiply the variable and the scalar, we will continue, and that will be equal to this xb1. So first we will write in this format, then we will decompose this y12 x2 plus y13 x3 plus y14 x4 equal to xb1. Now decompose this. Decomposing means write its integral part separate and the fractional part separate. So for y11 also, let's say I am writing its integral part 1 separate plus fractional part 1 separate into x1 plus similarly here I11 plus 12 into x2, and I continue doing like this for the remaining of the terms f13, and then we got x3 plus integral part 14 plus fractional part 14 x4, and for this we have already written I10 plus f of 10. Keep all integral part on one side, so this is I11 into x1 plus I12 into x2 plus I13 into x3 plus I14 into x4, all integral part on one side, and keep all fractional part on one side. So keeping fractional part, which means the other part will have minus x12 minus f of 12 x2 minus f of 13 x3 minus f of 14 x4. Now since this is integral part, this has to be integer. Now if we compare the first form, and this is the form which is deduced from the first form only, so this is the fractional part, and this will be going to correspond to Gomory's constraint. So this will correspond to Gomory's constraint, and we will note that f of 10 minus f of 11 x1 minus f of 12 x2 minus f of 13 x3 minus f of 14 x4, this is less than or equal to 0, and this is what we call it as Gomory's constraint, which only consists of the fractional part. Now we cannot consider this as strictly positive. We can see on the contradiction. On contrary, we may assume that f of 10 minus f of 11 x1 minus f of 12 x2 minus f of 13 x3 minus f of 14 x4, this is greater than 0. So suppose that this value is h and which is greater than 0. If this is h which is greater than 0, and I am just considering that this is an integer. If this is an integer, because see, this is equal to all integers. So when this is integer, so this means f of 10, this is equal to h plus f of 11 into x1 plus all the terms f of 14 x4. Now see, this is strictly greater than 0, h is strictly greater than 0, and then we are adding something, which means f of 10 is strictly greater than 1. Now this will contradict our basic assumption, because this is fractional part. It's not an integral part. So fractional part, basic requirement is that this should lie between 0 and 1. So our assumption here that this is always less than 0 is fine. This is appropriate. This holds true. And this is what we call it as Gomory constraint. And this is only due to the fractional part which is coming in the table. So if we want to construct Gomory's constraint from the simplex table, we have to see XBI's fractional part, XB2's fractional part, and then read that whole row, read only fractional part and compare. So this will become the Gomory constraint. Now we will understand this in an example. So in this problem, we want to find the optimal solution of integer programming problem. So the first step is we will solve this LPP using simplex method. Find optimal solution using simplex method. So when I say simplex method, it depends upon the constraint which is appearing in the above corresponding LPP as well, or we can say associated LPP, because if in the associated LPP there are constraints which are of the type greater than, then obviously we will include surplus variable, and hence we will apply big M and two-phase method. So those are requirements. So this word of saying that we use simplex method is very generic. So these are already included if you are talking about big M. Now if I solve this using simplex method, we get in the first table x2 enters and then s3 leaves, and we get 2 as the pivot element, and then we found it by entering criteria. Since the problem is maximization, we enter the most negative, and then by minimum ratio we leave s3 as a basic variable. So then in the next table, x1 enters into the basis and s1 leaves, and 1 becomes the pivot element. We apply a row operation to get the optimal simplex table. We notice that zj minus cj row here is greater than equal to 0. So this is optimal. And we also see that the right hand side is feasibility. Feasibility condition doesn't disturb in the simplex algorithm. So this is feasible. But now we also see that here the x1 is 7 by 2 and x2 is also 7 by 2. So x1 is 7 by 2 and x2, which is also 7 by 2, and z is 21 by 2. We do not bother for the value for z because this is for the objective value, but we do require for the decision variable. So in the linear programming problem, say these decision variable were corresponding to something about manufacturing chips or unit or something, and we wanted them to be integer, That is why this restriction was to find the integral solution. Now we want to add Gomory constraint. So for the first requirement of the Gomory constraint, we must need to write x1, x2 in the integral and fractional part. So what is x1? x1 is 7 by 2. That means we can write it as 3 plus half. 3 is the integral part and half is the fractional part. So this is integral part, and then we have half as the fractional part. And we also notice that fractional part must be greater than or equal to 0. Then we look at x2. x2 is also 7 by 2. So it is, in this case, both of them are tie. We can choose any one of them. But in case there is a non-tie, these are different, then we choose the one which is corresponding to maximum fractional value. So now, once we have identified both of them are same, let me to assume the second row only. We can choose it corresponding to the first row as well. So for this, we will have the constraint as the Gomory constraint. So each scalar has to be multiplied by the corresponding decision variable. So first constraint, and we can simply say second constraint, or we can say corresponding to x2, we have 0 into x1 plus 1 into x2 plus 0 into s1 plus 0 into s2 plus half into s3 equal to 7 by 2. So from there, I'm going to extract the Gomory constraint. And I remember in my previous construction, I've explained Gomory constraint is only due to the fractional component. So this is, let's recall a formula here. This is the fractional component first due to the solution part. This is due to the solution 1 0 minus f of 1 1 into x1 minus f of 1 2 into x2, and we continue doing like this. This is less than or equal to 0. These are due to the scalars. So this is the fractional part corresponding to the scalars. So here now, if you look at this constraint, what are the fractional parts? So Gomory constraint further becomes, this is complete integral. We are not going to leave this, only half of s2 and the fractional part here. So this 7 by 2, let me to write here only. 7 by 2 is 3 plus half. So the only fractional part is half. So this is what is the value for f of 1 0 into this. So Gomory constraint will become half minus, due to the scalar which is this, minus half into s3, and put that is less than or equal to 0. This becomes our Gomory constraint in this question, Gomory's constraint. We could have made it this with respect to our first row as well. If so, this, like I did it for second constraint, you could do it with respect to x1 also, because in both the cases we have tie. x1 is also 7 by 2, x2 is also 7 by 2. So this question can be proceeded with respect to both of them. That is an arbitrary choice. Now this is the constraint which I need to add it up. So the constraint is minus half into s3 less than or equal to minus half, or I can simply write this as 1 by 2 s3 is greater than or equal to half. This is the constraint I wanted to add into my this. So here added this constraint. So addition of the constraint is same. So now we add the constraint in the given table. So in the next step, after finding the Gomory constraint, add this constraint into the optimal simplex table. But again, adding the constraint has to be with the equality sign. So we will have the constraint half of s3 minus x times g1 equal to 1 by 2, or because whenever we add a constraint, we must have a positive coefficient for the newly coming up decision variable. So I will again turn back into half of s3, in fact the same constraint I am adding, plus x times g1 equal to minus half. Now this is the constraint which I am going to add in my this last table. So the table look like this one, and in this we can notice that I have added one more column xg1 and one row. So this is addition of a constraint. Now from this constraint I am going to read the values. There is no coefficient corresponding to x1, so this will be 0. Then there is no coefficient corresponding to x2, s1, s2, s3, but sorry, for s3 there is 1. So here you will have minus half, as we can read it here, minus half into s3 plus 1 into xg1. So this will have 1, and the remaining entries we will keep it as 0. And then on the right hand side we will have minus half. Now we have to see the simplex table layout as we did in the post optimality topic. These are the 4 basic variable. x1 is a basic variable. Here we got 1 and all other entries are 0. So this is fine. x2 is in the basic variable at x2 position, this is 1, all other entries are 0, it is good. S2, this position is 1 corresponding to x2, this is fine, and all other entries are 0, good. And for xg1 as well, we have here 1 which is corresponding in xg1 column, and all other entries are 1. But we notice that the right hand side is negative. So this is optimal because all the zj minus cj is greater than 0, but the right hand side is negative. So now I apply dual simplex method. So here we will apply dual simplex method, and we will pick up the criteria of dual simplex method. So first we will eliminate the one with the most negative, this one, and we will enter. For the entering criteria, we will look the zj minus cj upon the scalars which are strictly negative, take their absolute value and find the minimum of that. So scalar should be negative. In this case, we can see in this row there is only one scalar which is negative. So obviously S3 has to enter into the basis and this will leave. Now this become the pivot element minus half, and we will divide this whole row by minus half to get the next table as. So we get this as the table 4 3 3 1. Now these, you can see these are integer solution, and as we know that this was a pivot element, we must have applied the row operation to make sure that S3 column here we get as 1 and all the other integers are now 0. So these are standard row operation that I have applied. For more of this, if you are new to this topic, you must watch the simplex algorithm videos beforehand. Now notice that x1 is 4, x2 is 3, x2 is 3 and s3 is 1. So we can see that x1 is 4 and x2 is 3. Both of them are integer and z corresponding to them is 10. So this gives us integer programming problem optimal solution, as these both of them are integers.